Right now, Flint is receiving money to help fund a new pipeline to bring water from Lake Huron. Now, the Michigan Strategic Fund has approved a $3.5 million loan. The money will help pay for the EPA-required backup pipeline the city needs. Now, Clinton's final campaign day included a stop in Allendale, headlining a Get Out the Vote rally at Grand Valley State University. Now, Clinton focusing on the economy, jobs, and motivating young voters.
Presidential ballot recount is over before it ever came close to even being completed.
Late last night, the federal judge who allowed the recount to start 3 days earlier lifted his order, effectively ending the statewide recount. Donald Trump's victory over Hillary Clinton in Michigan still stands. Now, Judge Mark Goldsmith stopped the hand recount because there isn't enough evidence of fraud to continue. And we have some breaking news this morning out of Syria. Right now, the Russian military says one of their helicopters carrying 5 people was shot down in Syria. The helicopter was returning to a Russian airbase after delivering humanitarian goods. No word right now on the condition of the 5 Russians on board. NBC 25 will continue to track this story and bring you the most up-to-date information as it becomes available. Hillary Clinton expected to be talking in Philadelphia today about the millennial vote, which a lot of people are attributing to her sliding in the polls. What do you think your father's role is with the millennials? Do you think more African Americans are now getting behind Trump, more minority votes, including Latinos? Kristen Aguirre, the look at this morning's headline. It appears leaders on Capitol Hill have reached a deal on federal budget and Flint water. Now, this would clear the way for spending bill to keep the government open through December. Happening today, Chelsea Clinton is heading to Flint, and she'll meet with Mayor Karen Weaver and get an update on the water crisis.
She's also here campaigning for her mother, Hillary Clinton, just days before the candidate takes on Donald Trump in the first presidential debate. That's on Monday night.
Fox 66's Ilse Lohan Hayes joining us live right now from outside Flint Democratic Party headquarters with more. Good morning, Ilse. More and more women are putting having a family on the back burner, but we're going to tell you about a test that could help you better determine your baby deadline.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
high five.
We can still pound.
We can do fist bumps.
I'm Kristen Aguirre.
I'm Mike Wolfo. Glad to have you with us.
Quick, do mannequins. Clearly, I'm not ready for summer to end. Like, let's keep summer around for a little bit longer. 7:01 now. We are following breaking news this morning out of Tacoma, Washington, where a police officer shot and killed during a standoff. Right now, we do hear reports that a suspect is dead at this hour. The officer was shot several times Wednesday night after responding to a domestic disturbance. Police say a suspect barricaded himself inside a home. Multiple Seattle news outlets right now reporting that the suspect has been shot. New developments as the fight for Flint continues on Capitol Hill this morning. Democrats proving they mean what they say when it comes to getting help for this city, and others dealing with lead-tainted water issues.
That's right. The Senate has now blocked a GOP-sponsored bill that would keep the government functioning, and that could mean a total shutdown if they can't get agreement by midnight on Friday.
We live in a busy world, constantly on the go, always in a hurry, always checking our clock. But ladies, when's our time up?
Right now, Flint's Mayor Karen Weaver says she thinks the Fast Start program could cost more than $1 billion. This morning, she's asking the state and federal government for help. The program restarted yesterday at 3 homes. Weaver says the city hopes to replace 200 to 250 pipes in the next month. Well, I'm going to be posting this peach butt all over Twitter with your name next to it coming up in a little bit.
Okay, can you see yourself driving this?
Yes, for sure. I think I need this car. I think you need a boat.
All right, well, you know, I'll let you and
Adrian!
It's the same scenario thousands of families in Flint face, using bottled water for everyday living. Now, health officials urge residents to start doing this back in September of 2015. But it was only 3 months ago that Melanie Guerra got that message.
I never knew where the free exams were or if it was even really necessary to have them.
Guerra was brought to the U.S. illegally when she was a child, but through the government program Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, she's been able to build a life here, living in Flint for the last 8 years. Now, one of her major obstacles she's been faced with is learning English, something she says has kept many in the Hispanic community steps behind in the water crisis.
In reality, I can't really understand what is happening, so there doesn't seem to be a point to watch television on that channel.
So they didn't hear this news until it hit the big news presses and came on their channel in their own language. So that might have been 2 or 3 months after the situation started.
Victoria Ortega is an immigration attorney in Flint. Now, she says another reason some in the Latino community lack information is the fear of deportation.
The Department of Homeland Security issued a policy statement saying they wouldn't be at or near any water distribution sites in uniform or undercover. So they have come out and said, okay, we won't be anywhere where you're giving water. But I don't know if that's enough to give people comfort.
I think now that so much time has passed, now we know the situation. But in the beginning, we were filled with so much fear that we didn't go out anywhere to get help.
Now, according to the 2010 U.S. Census, Latinos make up 4% of Flint's population, which doesn't include undocumented immigrants.
This may look just like a church, but Our Lady of Guadalupe has been so much more to the Hispanic community during the Flint water crisis. It's become a safe hub of information for Latinos across mid-Michigan, especially undocumented immigrants.
Which is why Melissa Vargas with the EPA says they've been teaming up with the church to get the word out on safe practices.
So it's not enough to just create fact sheets and brochures in English and Spanish and different languages, but we also have to really have those face-to-face conversations with folks.
The EPA has been on the ground since January, knocking on more than 10,000 doors and having over 5,000 in-person conversations. But Vargas says they still haven't reached everyone.
There's a lot of folks that are still in the shadows about this information, and being able to really tap into those pockets and being able to provide those individuals with that information is a challenge that we're still striving with.
So they're coming home a little bit more, I think. But I think the stigma is still there.
Ella es nacida aquí, ella es ciudadana americana.
My daughter was born here. She's a U.S. citizen. If they judge me, okay, I'll take the responsibility. I came here very young. It's not my fault. I came here as a young girl, but why does my daughter have to suffer? Who's going to speak up for her? Me, because I'm her mother.
Now, Guerra has made it her mission to speak out for the Hispanic community, reminding them there is a place to get help.
We are your family. We are here as your brothers and sisters to offer information or resources, and that you're always welcome here.
Somos demasiados, no muchos. Somos pocos.
There's so many of us here. Not a lot, but we support each other. I'm comfortable here. I'm hoping people will support the city that I love so much.
Kristen Aguirre, NBC 25 News. Her favorite sandwich is packed. Her art supplies are ready to go. 8-year-old Kennedy is ready for her first day of 3rd grade, but her mom, she can wait.
And now that it's time to go back, it's like kind of like dropping your kid off at the bus stop and pulling off. You know how that feeling when you leave, like, oh, should I have done that? And so that's how I'm going to feel every morning, putting her on the bus or dropping her off at school. Oh, is she going to be okay? Should I have done that?
Lead levels are what has Gina Luster dreading this school year.
I don't have any trust in any agencies at this point. Nothing is ever clear. Everything is always kind of vague.
People feel the way they feel, and once we've had the opportunity to talk to them one-on-one, a lot of them change their minds.
George Christian is the Flint Action Plan coordinator for the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality, and he's hoping to reestablish trust with the community this school year.
We want to make sure we get this right.
Since last October, more than 80 Flint facilities like schools and daycares have had their fixtures replaced. Now, Christian says at last test, 194 samples taken from these areas came back both lead and copper free.
But we're still going to be providing our students with bottled water at the start of the school year.
Flint Public Schools Superintendent Bilal Tawab wants to assure the parents of the 5,100 students in his district that despite the improved results, their kids will not be drinking from any fixtures.
Is bottled water enough for you, knowing that she'll be drinking that?
No.
So how can parents like Luster feel more comfortable when their kids head to a Flint school?
The Flint school should send out to every parent test results from that school.
Down the line, the DEQ will hold community meetings for parents, informing them about lead levels and when facilities will be cleared for drinking.
We're going to have an informed discussion with all the parents to make sure that everybody knows what's going to happen.
Our ultimate goal is for our children to be able to not have to consume water from bottled water.
And that's what Luster wants.
Let's fix our schools, get our babies back on track, and kind of go back to some of the old ways.
Kristen Aguirre, NBC 25 News. The baby's crying, toys are everywhere, you're exhausted. Such is the life of a mother. Child diva. And Barbara Basil loves every minute of it.
I never thought there'd be a slide in our living room.
Barbara is the mom of 2-year-old Paisley, and at 45, it's a title she thought she might never get.
Was there ever a point where you thought that this wouldn't happen?
Yeah. When you hear
in the Cookie Monster,
women talking about trying to get pregnant at a certain age, there's a timeline, unfortunately.
Barbara focused on her career as a nurse for most of her 20s and 30s. Didn't get married until she was in her 40s, and as she puts it, woke up one day and forgot to have a baby.
It's one of those things where you think, I don't feel like I'm of that age. But you are.
After a few miscarriages, she and her husband Jeff decided to get help.
Enter Dr. Abuzeed.
Her story is a success story, but at that stage of female age, it's very tough.
Dr. Mustafa Abuzeed is a fertility expert. And he says every woman is born with a certain amount of eggs, and every year as we get older, that number decreases. The less eggs you have, the harder it can be to have a baby.
Certainly there are some tests available that can tell us a little bit or give us an idea about the, if we want to call it, the number and quality of eggs that are left in the ovaries.
Now, one of those tests is called ovarian reserve testing. It's a blood test that's taken during a woman's cycle and can help determine her egg count.
Sometimes, even at young age, there is an element of diminished reserve.
Which is why more women in their late 20s and early 30s have been taking the test, even though it might not be the right time for them to have a baby. So is there a magic number for our baby deadline?
Don't delay things beyond 35. No question about it.
Now, sitting in this exam room can be nerve-wracking, whether you're here for your annual or you're trying to see if you can have a baby. But Dr. Abuzeed says the point of ovarian reserve testing isn't to scare you, but to make you more aware.
None of these tests are 100% accurate, or I can sit here and say, your hormone is, FSH is high, that's it, you cannot have, you can predict, and with reasonable degree of accuracy.
Now, Dr. Abuzeed recommends women over the age of 35, women with a family history of early menopause, those who have irregular cycles, and females who know they want to delay starting a family to take the test. Now, the results can help you lay out your options like freezing your eggs or freezing your embryos.
It's pretty miraculous now.
Barbara's plan, with the help of Dr. Abuzeed, eventually led her to getting pregnant and staying pregnant.
Her story would be a message to a lot of females who are sort of, for whatever reason, delayed their reproductive phase.
She's beautiful.
So funny. I guess I feel like I'm kind of part of this culture now of being a parent, and it's been a lot of fun.
Now Barbara is juggling the titles of nurse, wife, and mommy.
I look at her and I think, there is no way my mother loved me this much. There's no way anybody in the world loves anyone this much. It's overwhelming. It's absolutely overwhelming.
Kristen Aguirre, NBC 25 News.